These three places aren't just forbidden, they're alive. From Paris' bone-filled catacombs to Area 51's vibrating cave to Florida's underwater death trap, these locations don't just eliminate trespassers. They consume them. Watch until the end, because what connects these disappearances will make you question reality itself. Beneath the orderly streets of Paris, past the romance of cafes and the artistic hum of the Latin Quarter, there exists a deathly quiet kingdom where no sunlight dares descend. A place where even the most intrepid explorers question their sanity. It's not marked on tourist brochures, nor do maps lead you to the sealed-off passageways that coil hundreds of feet beneath the City of Light. The forbidden depths of the Paris catacombs are a charnel labyrinth few dare enter. And yet one man, whose identity remains cloaked in mystery, decided to slip into these shadowed intestines of the city armed with a camera and a resolve that would soon dissolve into terror. His journey begins with nothing but stone and silence, a gray corridor lacking definition, an environment so sterile it almost mocks the danger it conceals. The arrows painted hastily on the walls seem almost like whispers from a realm that is not quite dead but not entirely alive either. As he films each twisted turn, what emerges is a sinister breadcrumb trail leading to unspoken horrors. He finds the first room. The camera trembles not from his hands, but from the weight of what it now captures. Heaps of bones, skulls piled like forgotten fruit in a tomb of neglect. But he doesn't flinch. It's as if he expected to find them, as if he'd read a hidden script only the reckless ever lay eyes upon. He presses forward, further down, past more markings, more cryptic arrows, into another chamber where skeletal remains stare blankly at the void that once held life. Then it happens. The shift, the invisible breach in his nerves. He freezes. Nothing visible triggers it, but his instincts scream. He runs, stumbling through stone arteries, breathing like prey. The camera captures only glimpses now, wild and erratic, before slipping from his grasp, landing with a splash in shallow water. His footsteps vanish into the silence, and then into nothingness. The batteries die. The tape ends. He is never seen again. 10 years later, urban explorers, the kind who thrive on trespassing into the realms others fear, stumble across his camera, untouched in the darkness, the final witness to a man who chased curiosity into death's unblinking gaze. Those forbidden sections of the Paris catacombs, largely unmapped and said to contain entire hidden levels below even the known ones, stretch for miles beneath the metropolis. Over 6 million human remains occupy those tunnels, stacked in silent reverence, a solution to the overcrowded cemeteries of the 17th century. But beyond the decorative, candlelit public path lies another realm, one that Paris has locked away. The authorities say it's about preservation, about safety. But the bodies of those who went deeper suggest otherwise, that what lies below is not just dangerous. It is malevolent. The man with the camera followed arrows. What followed him, no one knows. But the thirst for the forbidden is not limited to old bones and ancient tunnels. In the Mojave Desert, scorched and cracked like the skin of an old god, a man named Kenny Veach was driven by a different lure, the riddle of a cave shaped like an uppercase M. Kenny, an experienced solo hiker and relentless seeker of the strange, was no stranger to isolation. In June 2014, he posted a comment on a video titled "Son of an Area 51 Technician," claiming he had encountered something deeply abnormal. He wrote of the M-shaped cave that made his body vibrate, not metaphorically, but physically. As he drew closer to the entrance, his bones, his organs, his very blood seemed to quiver in rebellion. It wasn't fear, it was force. Something unseen pushed him back, told him to leave, and for once he listened. But the internet thrives on doubt, and Kenny's revelation was met with skepticism. Go back, they said. Film it, prove it, provoke it. And so, like all those cursed to need closure, Kenny returned. His first filmed attempt yielded nothing. The cave eluded him, but he promised to return again. Commenters pushed. One name, Lemmy Kilmeister, left a warning that cut like a whisper from the grave. Do not go to M Cave. If you go in, you won't be able to get out again. When Kenny asked for clarification, Lemmy never replied. Then he vanished entirely. On November 10, 2014, Kenny Veach ventured once more into the desert. For days later, silence. His girlfriend, panicked and powerless, called the police. Search teams combed the barren expanse, guided by GPS coordinates and YouTube breadcrumbs. They found his cell phone, lying alone beside an abandoned mine shaft. There were no tracks, no blood, no disturbance. Just a phone and absence. The shaft was searched. Nothing. The desert, endlessly silent, gave no reply. Was it dehydration, disorientation, or was there truly something humming beneath the sand, vibrating with military precision? The proximity to Area 51, the sensation Kenny described, eerily mirrored reports of access denial systems, non-lethal military weapons designed to make humans turn back without leaving a trace. The kind of deterrent that says you've wandered somewhere you absolutely should not be. Kenny may have crossed a line, not of terrain, but of secrecy. If he found something that day, it did not want to be found. He was never seen again. His cave was not a gateway. It was a grave. But perhaps the most claustrophobic death wish ever captured belongs not to tunnels beneath cities or desert entrances, but to the bone-crushing embrace of the Vortex Spring Cave in Florida. It was August 18, 2010, and 30-year-old Ben McDaniel stood at the end of a pier, fully suited in scuba gear, staring into water that had claimed over 300 lives. The sign was clear: do not proceed unless you are prepared to die. He ignored it. Down he went, past the safe zones, through the swirls of dissolved light, into the belly of Vortex Spring. A cave system so perilous that only elite divers were given keys to its final chamber. Ben McDaniel was not one of them. He had no key, but desperation makes us resourceful and reckless. Another diver, watching Ben struggle with the gate. He opened it. Ben nodded, offered a silent thank you, and then crossed into what is arguably the most dangerous underwater cave in the United States. The Vortex Spring Cave winds and coils for 1,600 feet beyond the gate, plunging to depths of 310 feet. Parts of it are so narrow that divers must remove their tanks, squirm forward, then reassemble their lifeline, all in total darkness, all while holding their breath against death. Ben swam into that abyss alone. He never emerged. Days passed. When no sign of him surfaced, authorities launched an exhaustive search. Divers ventured deep, through tight crevices and pitch-black chambers, but they found only 2 of Ben's dive bottles. No body, no suit, no trail. His remains are likely still entombed in some unexplored passage too narrow or too treacherous for even the best to reach. And in the void he vanished into, silence reigns eternal. To comprehend the horror of Vortex Spring Cave is to understand what fear feels like when it no longer has boundaries. For Navy SEALs, as one recalled, it's the same brand of dread that grips you when swimming under steel barges, where light vanishes and the weight of ocean presses like a curse. Claustrophobia, helplessness, the quiet certainty that if you make one mistake, you're not coming back. This is the world Ben McDaniel entered willingly. Why did he go? Was it pride? Was it a need to prove something, not just to the world but to himself? Or did the cave simply call to him in the way ancient ruins once beckoned explorers who would never return? He disappeared into a place where even the bravest divers hesitate, and where countless others have met the same invisible, merciless end. Each of these stories, the anonymous man lost beneath Paris, Kenny Veach and his vibrating cave, Ben McDaniel and his underwater tomb, begins with the same delusion, that boundaries exist to be crossed. They didn't go to these places for fun. They went because something inside them needed to know what lay beyond the limit. But curiosity has a cost, and these 3 paid it in full. For some, the world is not enough unless it is pierced, cracked open, and bled of its secrets. But these places, the sealed sections of the catacombs, the proximity of Cave to Area 51, the death trap of Vortex Spring, they don't tolerate intrusion. They swallow it. They punish it. They remind us that some doors were not meant to open, and some trails should never be followed. Because when you go where no one is supposed to, you don't just risk your life. You risk becoming the next story, the next warning, the next ghost who ignored the sign that said, "Stop. Don't go farther. You won't come back." And so the man in Paris never made it to the surface. Kenny never made it out of the desert. and Ben never returned from the depths. Their stories echo, not as tales of bravery, but as grim testimonies to the myth that the world is ours for the taking. Some places you can't go, and the people who went anyways, they don't speak anymore. Would you follow arrows beneath a city if they promised secrets? Would you chase a cave that made your heart vibrate? Or dive into depths so dark they swallow entire men? Which of these places chilled you the most? And which do you think still hides someone breathing, waiting? Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you go if the world told you not to? And if this story pulled you in, subscribe. Because the most terrifying journeys don't begin with screams. They begin with silence and a choice.